Hi there, welcome back to the CISSP Success Toolkit, Twister of the Day number 104. Uh, let's see what is in there for us today. Go ahead with this particular question. Take 1 minute to answer this, and then I'm going to explain you the answer. So let's get started, right? As a manager overseeing network security, you are evaluating remote authentication system for your organization infrastructure. Which scenario best aligns with the suitability of TechX Plus? So first thing, right? Um, in access control, one of the major component is also remote authentication as well, and it may be required when you want to log in from home and you want to get into your network to use some local resources, or jump onto a jump server and take access to a particular database server or any other server, right? That is one use case. Another use case is when, for example, you want to connect with the Wi-Fi access point, and you want to also connect it securely by using network access control. So that is also where most of the time we use Radius server in those kind of cases. And also sometimes for remote access of network infrastructure and devices, for example, switches, routers, firewalls, all of that. That is where we also need remote authentication services. Now, how these remote authentication services works? Let's say an example. Let's say VPN. So in a VPN case, we can also expose our Active Directory in the DMZ, but actually it's not a great idea. It's a worst idea, I would say. You should never be exposing your identity provider service onto DMZ, because that is highly critical for the organization, right? So we don't want to do that. So how do we do then? So the major thing is, how do we do it is, in your DMZ, you are going to place a network access server, which will work as a concentrator, or sometimes we also call it as VPN concentrator as well, which will aggregate all the connections which are coming to the particular request for the remote access. And then this network access server is going to forward the request in the backend to either a Radius server or a TechAct server, and then these particular server are responsible for authentication, authorization, and accounting. Now, as the question talks about remote authentication system for your organization infrastructure, so it is more focused on managing the infrastructure. Now, few things you need to understand about Radius and TechAx from the CISSP exam perspective. Radius stands for Remote Authentication Dial-in User Service, and this actually works on UDP. It is pretty good in case you want to implement a VPN kind of scenario. That is where Radius works well. It also has a great backward compatibility and also support, challenge handshake authentication protocol (EAP), along with something which is very primitive called as password authentication protocol, which is kind of insecure, right? So in those cases, that is the reason why we think Radius as little insecure, but still it is heavily being used in the industry, because most of the operating system, they support Radius as an operating system component by itself, and that is how organization use it. In case you want to manage your Wi-Fi access point as well, and you want to implement network access control for Wi-Fi access as well, again you can use Radius as well. But in case you want to manage your remote switches, firewalls, or those kind of devices, right, as router and those kind of stuff, then TechAx Plus is one of a great protocol which you can see. Few things about TechAx Plus. It works on TCP. Wonderful. It was brought in by Cisco. Again, it's being heavily being used. And other thing is, it also have the fine-grained access control as well. When I say fine-grained, means it has more flexibility than Radius, and it does not support any kind of backward protocol like password authentication protocol, all of that. So that works great. And also TechAx can be installed, those triple A concept, right? Authentication, authorization, and accounting. You can have those three components on separate servers. That gives you a very great feature of scalability. In case you want to scale any one of them, yes, you can do that. So that all feasibility comes with TechAxe, not with Radius, because in Radius there is a single software or component. You have to install it on one system itself. So based on that, going through all these particular option, I would go with the option number B, which is choose TechAxe Plus for centralized authentication and authorization when managing authentication primarily for network devices like routers, switches, and firewall. So that works great in case of managing the infrastructure. The first one says implement Radius for VPN, wireless network, and router and firewall. You can implement it. It's not that you can't implement, but that is not the best thing. Question is asking us the best solution for that. That is what they are trying to understand from you. Do you understand this in depth? That's the question. Option C also, it focuses on TechAxe Plus for VPN and wireless network. TechAxe Plus doesn't work that great for VPN. It works best for network infrastructure. And finally, implement Radius specifically for network device, for routers, switches, and firewall. No, as we discussed, it works better for VPN. So I hope you like this, and we will meet tomorrow.